All right, there's your cue.
All right, welcome everybody. Good morning. Yes, it is a morning show, and we've got a special guest this morning, JD Calderon with the Oswald Chronicles closing party. Holy cow, you made it, JD. We've got
Yeah.
an
Penny
intro.
just went up. Oh, sorry.
We
Go
got an
ahead.
intro, and we'll be right back.
Raging.
That's right, everybody. We have a return guest, JD Calderon. He's got a Kickstarter that's ending in less than an hour, and we are here to kind of talk to him. Hey, JD, let me put you in the
Oh,
box of honor.
thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. So, welcome back. And congratulations on a successful campaign. But we're not done because we want to hit another stretch goal, which is kind of cool.
Yeah. Well,
So,
Inching closer.
yeah.
it
Go
just,
ahead, introduce yourself, and let's chat.
all right. Well, my name's JD Calderon. I'm the writer and creator of the Oswald Chronicles and Tall Tales. But right now we're talking about the Oswald Chronicles, and we currently have a campaign running for. We were just passing through issues 1 through 4 and some alternative covers. So if you want to
Mhm.
go check all that stuff out, and I got this.
Yeah, we've got Mike, Jimmy,
Funky little
Lorsha
thing.
De Bruyne.
Mhm.
I hope I probably massacred his name, saying, let's grab that 100 Becker gold. But yeah, you've got the pin there. We were highlighting that.
Mhm.
Got a lot of, well, not a lot, but you've got the alternate covers and things.
Mhm.
Whereas we were just passing through in the world of Oswald.
Well, technically, if we were to follow it in a numerical order, right? We have
Mhm.
issues 1 through 8 of past. Well, we have issue 1 is my first day,
Mhm.
which rolls straight into uh, um, passing queens and making homes. So that's one. So that would be 1 through 8 right there. I have another story that fits right in the center of that. It's gonna probably be a two-parter. It's called "If I Were Just a Few Inches Taller." That's gonna come out in the future. That's being illustrated by Renio Tillis.
Is that Nita's story? Were you talking to her?
No.
No.
Well, I wrote this story years ago. What?
No. It was a short joke. I'm sorry.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, okay. So yeah, so it's called "If I Were Just a Few Inches Taller." Um, I have see being on since we're all on camera, I don't know how tall anybody is. So, I've
Four
met some.
nine.
Yeah, well, I met some individuals online who swore they were 6'9", and they're only like not much taller than a child.
Oh,
Um,
Oh, I've met people like that myself.
exactly. So yeah, I mean but yeah. So that would be the next two issues, and then this story falls right after that.
mhm.
So this is a gap. So technically, that's where it falls into the timeline. So Oswald is still a baby. He's still only. He's probably been on the mall. That's where he lives. Probably about a month. Probably about a month. So give or take.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, that's where it falls. And actually, let me pull something up I can show you guys.
Oh boy.
Uh, yeah. Now if I can ever find it.
Yeah, while he's doing
Yeah.
that, we appreciate everybody who's tuning in, and wherever it is you're tuning in from, make sure that you hit the subscribe button and follow. We've got JD's links in the show description. We've got the link to his Kickstarter, which ends in about 55 minutes.
Yeah.
The last minutes the timer drives me crazy because I'm just sitting there and that's all I want to do is hit the refresh button, especially in campaigns. Not just my campaign, like other people's campaigns. I'm like, come on, and
Countdowns do that to you. Period.
I get like neurotic. Yeah, countdowns do that anyway. I just feel like
you want to set Meredith off, be like 10, 9, 8.
It's the truth. Yeah. I don't know why. I don't know why countdowns do that to me. It's just like, okay, let's go. It's like you're at the starting line. But no, this is like the countdown to finish the campaign. So let's add this to the stream here.
Yeah, if you want to. So this is I'm showing everybody this for the first time. This is we were just passing through. This is I'll just walk you guys through. This is the first page. This is Ordith. And what's sad is this has nothing to do with what we're talking with what we're going through. But I want to share.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
because this is, like I said, this is Arenio Tillis. And I mean, I love this page where it's just like, it's very dynamic for what it is. It's this ogre.
I'm looking at the ogre. I'm looking at the architecture, the plants, and everything like that. That is cool.
Yeah, and I mean, it looks, I think, really nice like this, but I want to get it in color.
I love that camera angle because I like the bicycle.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's freaking awesome.
JD, you're doing something in color?
Oh yeah, eventually. It's coming. It's like I said, I mean, all this stuff feeds into that. So, and then we have, this is the second page, and it's just more action. I love this. He did the Akira bike slide. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that.
95.
5
more. Come on.
What are you shouting out there?
The campaign. He's got 95 backers.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
Keep it going, folks. Keep it going.
Yeah. And here's Ordith knocking off.
See, I love ogres. I don't know why. Maybe because I am one.
Oh well. We all are one on some level.
Especially at 10 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Because trust me, these are not my civil hours either.
Right.
I love this page because look at this. I mean, I love Oswald's face there.
He's so cute.
I was looking at that. It's like I zoomed in right on that. It was like, oh, how adorable. And then he gets like a shock of his life, right? Then he's like,
well, he's talking to him.
Oh, no.
Yep. He's just like, there's that goofy look on his face. I mean, it's just, it's just fun stuff. But I'm showing this to illustrate that this is what this campaign will bring more of. Because the more money I get in, I don't take any of it for myself. I just give it all to the artist so I can produce more work.
Exactly. So, and you've been doing that for a while where, I mean, literally you've got the stories pretty much hammered out and you're like, okay, let's get the art done.
Yeah. And that's where I'm at. And it's just, as we go through this, there's another, Oswald ends up in Ordith's home. And this page, what is it? Is it this page? Oh, no, I think it's the next page. But Daphne loves this panel on the bottom.
I've seen that face before. In fact, I'm pretty sure that's what she looked like when I wasn't showing up like quite as early as she wanted me to be this morning. Right. I'm like, I was just resting my eyes.
Yeah, Daphne says I should put that on a T-shirt. I was like, okay.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, so we're getting the sneak peek into the interior, guys.
Yeah, so I love this page because Oswald goes through all the emotions. Like, he's screaming, then he's like pondering, and then he's like, thinking, and then here he's like, oh, whatever, and then he's all sad.
Aww.
So it's just.
It's like you could almost put in your own dialogue.
Yeah.
No.
And then then it goes on, and it's it's the rest of the story. So it looks. I mean, Arenio's doing a great job. We're still. I think I only have about 25 pages of this at the moment.
Okay.
So, we still have a little bit to go because he's the funniest thing with this issue is that originally it was supposed to be only a 32-page story. But when he broke it down, he was just like, he just like this fight scene. I was just like, I could have put my foot down and said, truncate it, make it tighter, make it smaller. But I wanted to give him the opportunity to breathe, which is sometimes something you have to, sometimes like this panel here. I mean, it looks fantastic.
Yeah.
Is it absolutely necessary to the story? Not really. I mean, it could have been a lot smaller. This panel could have been a lot smaller, and I could have combined it with a bunch of other stuff. But I love it. I love the way it looks. This guy put a lot of work in it.
I mean, you can see the detail in the pipes and the brick. I mean, the water looks stunning. How he did that in black and white is just amazing to me. I'm just, I'm enthralled by artists who can do that, But then there's, I appreciate that you can do that, JD, that you give the artist room to breathe, because sometimes you have those moments where you want to capture it's maybe not necessary, but from a storytelling perspective, comic books, it is a visual art, and so you're giving your eyes as much of a story as your mind when you're reading the text. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where I feel, you just have to sometimes let it go.
Yeah. And that's kind of cool too. Like, I mean, each book isn't just so strict. Again, from storytelling perspectives, or from a reader perspective, I should say, I don't like when a story feels rushed. I've had, just novels and other forms of media where we get to the end, and all of a sudden it's like, how are they going to end this? And then they just kind of like chop off your head, and you're like, whoa, I was along for the ride, and all of a sudden I hit a brick wall.
Right.
And I don't like when that happens.
There's no denouement.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So and that's one of the things that I try to focus on in my stories. I try to give, it depends on the story too. I try to give a denouement. I try to let everybody know, like, this is what's going on at the end, and this is how the characters carry forward, afterwards. Some stories need it, some stories don't. So I mean, it's something I feel is very important, because it's sometimes, people are just oblivious. Some of the writers are just oblivious to what to do in that in that movie.
Or and sometimes I wonder if well, I'm just going to come out and say it. Sometimes I think it's just laziness. It's like maybe they hit a brick wall, and all of a sudden it's like, well, I don't know how to end it, so I'm just going to.
Right.
Or I'm tired of this, I got to get on to the next project. And I understand deadline, but there's a way to really like end it where it feels like a natural progression, instead of just like boom, and rushing it.
Yeah, I mean, my philosophy is like, okay, because we have all kinds of work, right? We have pro work, which I've done, deadlines, that whole 9 yards. And sometimes, it depends. I remember when I was working, what I did was I worked at a furious clip, right? So that, I had 10 issues to write. So that's 10 months. I think I wrote those 10 issues in 2 months.
Wow.
So that, I could sit back, edit, go back and do whatever I have to do, hand it in, and it's fine. But I was really young. I didn't have a day job. That was my job at the time. And you just sit there and you just hammer, but you have to be dedicated to your craft. You have to be dedicated to sit in that chair for 8 hours, not look at video games, not go, not check anything, just do the work.
Do it.
Just do it. And that's just it. Just get lost in that world and just pound those keys. And that's the thing. That's the important part of it, is you got to just pound those keys, I always like to say that writing is 90% thought, 10% actual writing.
Yeah.
Actually beating the keys. But sometimes you have to do them at the same time.
I want to know what your writing process is. I think we touched on it before, but you were
Mhm.
you were showing your notebook before,
Yeah.
uh, and so those notebooks, are they like full thoughts? Do you outline it? Do you just have a bit of dialogue here and there, and you're like, oh, I'll flesh that
No,
out
that's.
later?
Hold on. Let me take one out. No, this is if I can, I'll just do I'll read the first couple lines, and
Sure.
and this is the way I start all of my stories. All of my stories start with these 3 words, or these 4 words, 5 words. All right. In the opening scene show, I start all of my comic work like that. In the opening scene show, and it says Oswald sitting at a table filled with his family, and they should be having a banquet, and everyone should look like they're having a good time, talking and eating. Okay, and that's it, right? So that's just the general description. I mean, this is all
Mhm. Yeah.
handwritten, So this is as rough as it goes, and then the next thing is a thought. It would be a caption. It was my grandson, and I have a notation for myself. Find his name. His name is Alexander. I found it out later.
Hmm.
Um, what the hell?
Yeah. Like, yeah,
Uh,
right. Reading your own chicken scratch the next
yeah.
day.
Uh,
That's why I don't do longhand, because I write like a
uh,
doctor.
okay. My grandson Alexander, has become an accomplished sorcerer, and he had built a device that would detect me if I entered dream. Okay, so that's just
Hmm.
the insanity that I'm going through. But yeah, but that's my
But you
process.
also like write on the train,
Yeah,
so it just, and I love that you take that spare time, like what are you doing? So you might as well get some thoughts down, right?
exactly. Well, no, I write the whole thing, and then this I'll transcribe it, and that's where I'll touch it up or refresh it. I'll do
Hmm.
whatever, and then once I'm done with that draft, I'll put that to the side, and I'll work on something else for 2 or 3 months. I have like 9 drafts. I have like 9 separate stories that are
Wow.
sitting on the side. It's from his third life. I'm currently working on the final story in the series.
Hmm.
So once that once that one happens, then it's going to be a little crazy because then I have 2 or 3 other stories that I have to write, and I think I'll be done with the series. And I mean it'll probably and for anyone who's thinking, one of these stories can be anywhere from 1 to 10 issues. So I think the first one is probably going to be about 8 issues.
Wow.
So yeah, so it's going to be a long. It's still no matter how much I get done, it's still a long process.
Hmm.
But you have to enjoy it, and I mean, and that's the thing. I enjoy it. So, and then here, I pulled up this. You want to pull that up?
Yep, I've gotcha.
Yeah, and this is Jade Gonzalez. Now, in the campaign prior to this one, I had given out a PDF to this story. So it was the first 24 pages to this story. I think she's up to page 84.
Wow.
Hopefully, yeah. So, and now these are lettered, right? And I'm pretty sure these are the only 2 pages I have. Well, no, I have up to page 50 lettered, but these are the only 2 JPEGs. This program only shows JPEGs. Everything else is my PSD file, so I can't show
Hmm.
this. But okay.
Hmm.
So it's just going to be blanks after this. So, and it's Oswald, going through his thing. But this is, like I said, this is the sort of thing that, that this is going to finance. It's all the future stories,
Yeah.
and this is Oswald meeting, I think his name was Quimby, and Oswald ate one of his, he ate one of his ladybugs, and
Oh,
his, right. So he's a little upset at Oswald, and Oswald's like, "What? It was just a ladybug. It wasn't doing much of anything."
we had like a Grogu moment.
Yes, exactly. But it was a ladybug. It wasn't like, he was just like, yeah. We didn't know it was a magical ladybug.
Oh no,
Yeah.
Oswald!
Yeah.
May the heart burn.
Uh, so he so Gwenby gets him to agree to go into dream with him and try to procure another ladybug from her mother, right? And all right, and then Ordith is like, he's like, no, don't do it. It's too dangerous because going into dream, he's literally going to put himself in a coma, and he's going to go into a dream state, and that's what they do. And boom, he's in dream. And the name of this story is I Was There and I Remember. And this is probably one of the pivotal points in Oswald's life because he ends up in dream.
Mm-hmm.
He sees the castle, and this is Morpheus, or King Morpheus. Now before anyone thinks I stole this from Neil Gaiman's Sandman, right? Morpheus, the god, has been around for about 3,000 years. And there's also I'm forgetting his name. It's not Pogo, it's the other one. There was a cartoon strip from the turn of the last century, where Morpheus was used. Little Nemo in Slumberland. So Little Nemo, he comes across King Morpheus, and I asked my artist Jade. She did her own version of the character, which is what I appreciate.
Yeah. No, that looks amazing that you can get the artist to really kind of capture these scenes.
Listen, Jade is incredible. Jade is awesome. It's funny. I don't know. I'm pretty sure I said it with you guys. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I've never gotten back from an artist exactly what I want. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But they surprise the hell out of me, and they always present me with something that I really enjoy, and I'm like, yes, it works. It doesn't, at this point, it doesn't matter what I wanted. This is perfect. And this is Oswald, and Gwenby going through dream, and they get surrounded by all these ladybugs. And they're
that's karma.
Yeah, that's karma.
Karma getting you.
Mm-hmm. And this is the ladybug's mother, and she's the queen of all the ladybugs. She has, I like her little fiery crown. So yeah.
Yeah, fun adventures. So, like, if you were for anybody who's like brand new to the Oswald Chronicles, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you were to kind of pitch it and give a comparison, just so that people are like, okay, what kind of world is this? Because I look at it and I'm like, the first thing that pops into my head is Secret of Nim.
Partially, I would. It's like Secret of Nim probably meets like Harry Potter meets I don't know, Alice in Wonderland.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's and probably even a little bit of Narnia. Because Oswald's constantly, even when he returns to the mall, he encounters all these crazy different characters. He eventually has to leave the mall and do a whole bunch of other stuff. But like in this story, he ends up in dream. It's just, that's the Alice in Wonderland part. And there's the other series, My Time with Clive, where he's on the road 6 months, trying to find this baby's parents, and he's there, and he's just traveling, and they go through all these weirdo adventures. Mm-hmm. And I do that stuff because there are times when I want to break away from the main story, because I have a main story. Sometimes you just want to get away from that, and you just want to like do something weird. That's why I put him in dream. I was like, I need to put him in a space where I can do anything. Mm-hmm. Right? So I was like, giant ladybugs. Hey, why not? He becomes an emperor. He becomes a battle mage. He becomes a massive sorcerer. He becomes, all these different things. And I'm like, how else could I have done that? I couldn't have done that while he was on the mall, right?
Right.
So you gotta find, this situation where he could be in.
So what was that moment like for you when you were just kind of sitting there and you're writing your notes and you're like, ladybugs? Mm-hmm. Like, what were you doing? Where did that hop in from?
You know, it's funny. When I wrote this story a long time ago. It was originally in prose, right? And wow, I probably wrote this story in 96, 97, right? When I first wrote it. And I remember writing it, and I remember saying to myself, I don't completely understand what I've written.
Okay.
You know, it was the weirdest thing. It was like, I was like, I don't understand what I've written, you know, completely, right? But I know it's significant to what I'm doing, you know, and I knew it would play a big part, and it has, and it does. So yeah, it's one of these things where it's just like you just, you know, yeah. And as far as like coming, sometimes it's just, you know, you just want to be whimsical. You just want to throw in all the crazy stuff. You're like, you know, let's just have fun with it, you know, and all this stuff. I mean, there's a story that I released a while ago called "On the Wings of Deidre," right? And we have Diane, who's Oswald's guardian, and she's a tough-nosed fairy. You know, she'll punch you in the mouth. You know, she'll take you. You know, if you're in her flower bed and she doesn't drive with you, she will punch you in the mouth and just tell you to screw off. You know, it's just like, get out of here. You know, and she calls in her cousin to replace her for a few days while she has to go off and do something. And her cousin Deidre, if you thought Diane was tough, woof, this woman, you know, this fairy lady is even rougher. You know, so, you know, I mean, you know, she, you know, she's like smoking cigarettes and, you know, doing, you know, she's like, you know, she's as mean as all hell. But she has a story, and there's a core to that story. But it's one of these things. As a matter of fact, let me pull up another thing, right? Because I can at least show you her.
And while you're doing that, we can shout out to Mike Jimmy. We've got Frog G tuning in. Let's see, Marvi, good morning. Bom dia. Doris Jones is here in the house. Glenn Fleming, thank you guys for tuning in. Nefarious is here. Says happy closeout. Congrats, JD.
Thank you.
Yeah. And we are getting close to the 30-minute mark before we close this out. So wherever it is that you guys are tuning in from, make sure that you share out his Kickstarter campaign for those last-minute pledges. And we're going to pull that up, too. Oh, wow.
Nice.
Yeah, so that's like the 9th card in the set. But this is from that story. This is from Deidre. On the Wings of Deidre. And yeah, I always thought this piece was fantastic. This is illustrated by Jade Gonzalez, and I believe it was colored by Tovio Rogers. I believe. It's been years.
With your what do you call it when you have a group of artists with that many in working on your things? It's got to be hard kind of keeping track.
Yeah. It really is. It's funny because, all right, let's see, I can flip through these. All right, so we all remember this I made this a card, so this is going to be one of the cards. But this is Dani Harijawa and Carlos Moreno. This is one of the other cards that's on the list. I just put this one up. This was illustrated by Matt Lunsford, and it was colored by, and I'm forgetting her name. But this is Naomi Nowak. That's who colored. So yes, it's sometimes trying to. I'm like, God, it's like, you know, because I haven't spoken to her in like 10 years, maybe more, 12 years.
Wow.
This piece is, this is from an action. This piece is was the opening page to a story that we have yet to complete. Matthew just, I don't want to say he bailed on me. I just want to, you know, he just never completed it. We got about 27 pages in. And we just, at some point, I want to get another artist just to fill in. And the thing is that Matthew's not doing a lot of comic work these days. So I don't want to have the whole story redrawn. Right. I just want to find someone who can more or less match his style. And then, you know, keep what he's done. Because like I say, he's not doing a lot of comic work, and I love his work. He's a good friend of mine.
Well, I mean, that is that is gorgeous. That is a gorgeous piece, especially if you love, like the fantasy, the ogres, trolls, fairies, anything
Yeah.
like that.
And this one's really early, and like this was before I was working with Jade, like this piece. So
Mhm.
Oswald not wearing his little pince nez, which is his glasses, and
Yep.
he's not wearing his little vest. So yeah, so early on it was he was very mousy.
96.
96
Oh,
backers.
96, nice, thank you.
Nice.
And then this is one of the other cards, the card I like to refer to as a Finger of Doom. But this is Baba Yaga right here, and this character I forgot his name, but yeah, this is from another story. Don't ask me to remember the title because I'm not going to remember.
Now, some of these characters, are they based on
Some of them-
people in your life?
Hardly.
Anybody reading your stories, would they be like, JD, you writing about me?
Not necessarily. I mean, they'd have to have a really, really good eye, and they'd have to question me for hours probably to find out. Because here's the thing: is like, I'm a constant consumer of fantasy in as many forms as I can get it into myself. So it's either prose, comics, TV, animation, whatever, right? And I tell everyone you should watch as much and read as much as you can, because it's just grist for the mill. It'll come in and it'll filter out, right, to however you're to whatever you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
This picture always cracks me
Nefarious is tuning in. He says he backed. We
thank you, Nefarious.
Appreciate that.
Yeah. This is another piece. This is by Jerome Jacinto. And Jerome, I was lucky. I think he did a total of 4, maybe 5 pieces for me, and I was lucky to get him at the time because just about the time he finished that last piece, he went on to work on video games. So his rates are like out the roof now. So I got him early on, so I was very, very lucky.
Yeah, and that spider is like
Nice.
fantastic and frightening, and it's just like, ooh,
yeah,
gorgeous work.
And then this is Oswald confronting Cthulhu.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, like I said, sometimes the stories are influenced by the people. I'm like, don't tick me off, because I will end you in fiction, because I don't have time for jail.
no, well, it's funny. Like wow, have I ever really done that? I've thought about it, hard, but I've never really done anyone like just said specifically that this is this. Well, Ordith is based on someone that I know, and so is Diane. Those two characters are both based, and Diane is an amalgamation of 2 people.
Mm-hmm.
So and then Ordith, like I said, is based on another friend of mine. And when I told him, he was so offended. He was like, says, "You think I'm stupid?" I'm like, "No, man, Ordith isn't stupid." I'm like, he talks funny, but there's a reason for that. There's a reason why he talks funny. But he is very kind, very brave, and in his own way, he's wise. And I was just like, he's just not articulate at the moment.
Right.
That's all it is. And my friend who I told this to is not very articulate. So.
Right.
But he got.
You don't tell them when you write them in. Okay, you let them discover that, JD.
I was breaking his chops. So.
Well, we're going to take a little tiny break, because we have that the video card for you. And again, we've got the countdown begins. We are almost at the end of your campaign. Let's play this little bump here for you. That's right, everybody. Wherever it is you're tuning in from, make sure you hit the share button for the Kickstarter. We are at 24 minutes to go, 96 backers. So close to the next stretch goal. So close. I don't know if we're going to get there. No guarantees, but the journey has been fun to watch. We were here at your launch, and what have you been doing through the campaign?
A lot of ice cream, cupcakes, a steak on occasion. No, but just doing a lot of podcasts.
Snorted. Yeah.
Just just doing a lot of podcasts, doing writing. I have a day job, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So yeah, just a lot of that, and it's unfortunately it becomes like a hamster wheel. It's just always rinse and repeat. You just like, okay, you get up, you go do your thing, go watch some television, have a meal, and then off to the day job, and come back. You just write. I write as much as I can. Mm-hmm. And the other thing is I find important is just talking to people. I work retail. I'm a manager in a retail establishment, a big box store. So I have a lot of people underneath me, and I'm constantly talking to my coworkers. And it's very interesting because I'm old, and I'm working with a lot of 20-somethings, right? So it's very interesting to get their perspective on life, to see how what's cool, what's fun. It's really nice when I run into a coworker who's into anime, right? And you just see them and they just get ecstatic. You just start talking to them, like, one of their managers starts talking to them about anime. They're like, oh, anime, yes, let's talk about anime. And there's 3 or 4 of them in there, and then like some of them read manga, and they get very excited. When I tell them about the comic stuff, they're like, oh, that's so cool, and blah blah, and whatever. But it's really nice to like talk to regular people as a writer, because I've always, I don't know if you guys ever heard me say this, but I study the human animal, right? Because that's the only way you can ever truly write an emotional core to a person. Because the thing is, I can sit back and I can write my emotional core, right? But how can I write another person's emotional core if I don't get that information from them? So I'm constantly talking to people. I'm constantly, as they say, I'm definitely someone who likes to hear the tea, right? Is that the appropriate term? Yep. Or spill the tea, right? Mm-hmm. Yes. So I'm one of those. So I'm constantly, listening to them and talking to them and constantly trying to get more information out of them, because again, I'm studying the human animal. It's interesting to see, like I said, the differences in age, how, my Generation X, from their generation, they're Zoomers, right? So it's like, just to see the differences between the 2 generations. And it's just like, I was like, yeah, this is, well, we used to fall on our face and get up and keep running. And, not, they fall on our face, and it's different.
Yeah. Not right? Everybody got a trophy when we were growing up, okay? Just say it.
This is true. This is true.
And when we did, we earned it.
Yeah,
right.
Either earned it,
and
or
I drank
it.
from a hose, and I'm
whatever.
Still alive.
Yeah. Well, even if you stole it, you still earned it in some way, because that takes work too.
Just don't get caught. That's all.
Right.
Yeah. So, again, speaking to people, that's something that you also do. You talk a little bit about your show.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Oh, my show.
Your show.
Let's hear about it.
All right, my show. All right. Well, I do 2 things on my show, right? And just to let everybody know, Glenn Fleming coming on very soon. Okay, just to let everybody know. I will DM you, Glenn. We'll do it this week. So I do one-on-one interviews, right? Which is something I really wanted to do with Glenn. I've been wanting to do it. It's weird because I know he's in Europe, so I know the time difference is, always.
Yeah, plus your work schedule is kind of crazy.
Exactly. So I got to get him on one of my days off, and I have to get him like noon our time, so that he can at least be awake, and I don't want to have him up at 4 a.m. But yeah, so I do one-on-one interviews, right? And I like a structured interview, right? So my structure is very simple. You know, first 30 minutes. And the thing is I don't. I like to go into interviews not knowing anything about the person I'm interviewing. You know, because there's some people like they'll send you stuff like, oh, read the comic and read this and read that and here's my bio and blah blah blah. I was like, I don't want none of that, because I want to discover the person the same way a new fan would discover you, as a blank slate. You know, let's sit down, let's talk. Tell me about yourself, and then that's usually the first 30 minutes, and for the campaign. If they have a campaign running, that's usually, or they're selling something or whatever, then we get into that portion of it. That's like the next 15 minutes. And then the next 15 minutes after that is usually, my crazy questions that I like to ask at the end of all of my campaigns. So that's how I work it. So
that's one show.
That's one show. Then I have my Sunday show, right?
So
which is you guys have been on it. So it's a panel show. I try to keep it to 6 people. It doesn't always happen. Sometimes I end up with 9. Sometimes I end up with 10. And I try to keep it a little bit tighter because there's myself. I have my co-host JD Rosario. Then I have my co-host, which is Varian Grant, right? And I'll ask a question and it'll go around the room. We'll do a round robin, right? And then I answer the question at the end. And then Rosario will ask a question and the same thing. And then Varian goes. Now, if we do 6, we can usually get in about 3 questions, sometimes 2 per host, right? If we have 9, I think 10, I think we were only able to get through 1.5 questions because I like to keep the show at 2 hours. So it's like, so if you got 9 or 10 people, it gets a little crazy. It's like, oh shit, how are we gonna get through this? We can't even get to the third co-host to answer his question or to ask his question. So but we have fun. It's a lively show. Myself and Rosario, we have our little thing that we go through every week. I mess with him.
Tete-a-tete.
Exactly. It's like people are like, do you guys actually like each other? This is very much. Because here's the thing. I was like, listen, if I couldn't talk to him the way I talk to him, or he couldn't talk to me, trust me, we wouldn't be talking. Yeah. That's the thing. It's like, we can do this because we understand one another and we enjoy each other's company and we like, and it's funny because we both live in New York City. I had never met him before COVID, doing this whole thing on. And but I had seen him on I'd seen his stuff online. I asked him to come on my show and I interviewed him, right? And we were talking. And he's a Brooklyn kid, I'm a Brooklyn kid. And I was like, I said my father used to own a bodega up in Bushwick, Brooklyn. And he was like, really? He was like, where? I said, it was on the corner of Myrtle and DeKalb. And he was like, no shit. And I was like, yeah, man. He was like, I used to go there on Sundays when he would visit his grandmother and he would buy comic books. And I laughed.
Wow.
Yeah, and I laughed. And I was because those were my comics you were buying.
Oh, nice.
Because I would go to local comic conventions and at the time you could buy a long box of like 50, what eventually would become 50-cent books for $20. You could just, and they would just have like thousands and thousands of comics, like 400 or 500 long boxes, and you would just grab stuff out of these long boxes and build a box, and you would take that with you, and then I would just drag it over to my father's grocery store, and I would put it on the counter and say, all right, 50 cents each. There it is.
Wow.
The local kids would come over and lo and behold, Rosario was one of those kids. It was hilarious. It's small. Wow.
It is a small world.
Yeah.
And it's kind of funny, like you were saying, the way you guys talk to each other sometimes, people are like, oh my God, like mortal enemies. How can you stand being on the show? It's like, no, you don't understand. Like the way I grew up too is like sarcasm was everything. Okay. Right. If you weren't like verbally trying to tear each other down, you didn't love each other.
Right.
I mean, that was love. It's like, oh no, be careful if you're really super sweet and you're showing a lot of teeth. That's when you're like, oh man, get them out of here for their own safety. That kind of thing, because they're getting ready to feast.
Yeah. Exactly.
So we've got the richness in here. Glenn Fleming, thank you for tuning in. Mike Jimmy is very active in the chats here. And I just want to let you guys know, normally when we have a guest on here, we try to focus on the guest and not so much the comments, but we do appreciate you guys for tuning in here. It's just that's not our show. I know that we've had a couple of complaints about that. JD, have you kind of run into that too? It's like, oh, we don't put up all the comments and stuff, but we acknowledge the people that do tune in.
On the Sunday show, I tend to put up the comments. On both shows, I tend to put them. I just throw them up there. Sometimes we respond. Sometimes I'll just, like, someone's talking, I'll just flash it up and I'll just take it down. Sometimes we'll comment on it. It just depends on what it is, because sometimes they ask questions,
Right.
and they're relevant. So I said, okay, so we'll put it up.
Yeah.
Nice. Look at that.
There we
Nice.
go. We got 13 minutes to go. I don't know if did I refresh? Let me see. 13. I don't know if the timer, how quickly this timer works its way through. So yeah, 96 backers. Don't know if we're going to get to 100. That would be sweet to see that.
If it happens, great. If it doesn't happen, that's fine. I'm very happy at where it's at. So I mean,
Yeah.
It's been incredible. It's awesome.
Yeah.
It has been fun following this campaign and seeing. I mean, it was. I don't know, what was it like when you got the notification for the project we love?
It was funny because I got it and I was about to delete it. Because whenever I get a notification, whenever I get a notification from Kickstarter, it's usually some whatever, we've changed our terms of service. Yeah, whatever.
Right.
Man, I don't
Yeah.
give a shit. So,
Right.
Whatever. Yeah. Okay. Fine. I can't say X, Y, Z. Okay. But and that's usually what I'm expecting. So I got it, and I scrolled through it real quick, and I was about to delete it, and I was just like, "Wait a second, this one looks a little different." And I start reading it, and I'm like, "Oh, okay. This is exciting. Nice. Yes. Okay."
Because you've only had like a gazillion campaigns going, right?
Right. Exactly.
You see how calm he was? Oh yeah, this is nice. I'm on the fucking StreamYard. Meredith, did you fucking see this shit?
Yeah, she did. It was so funny. She's like, "We got a project we love." I didn't realize it was your first one.
Yeah, it was my first one. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Like I said, I mean, it took. It's what they always say. With enough determination, enough practice, you just keep going for it. After 21 campaigns, you too can have a project we love. You just got to work hard at it. That's all. But yeah. But
yeah,
it's really cool. I can't say I'm mad or anything. I wasn't mad before that I didn't get it, and I'm not mad now that I got it. So pleasantly surprised. I like it. I don't know how much it helped. I think it did a little, but I honestly don't know.
Yeah.
I think doing this sort of thing helped more. Doing the podcast, talking to you guys, talking to other podcasters, I think that helps even more than something like this. I mean, it's not quantifiable.
Right. Nobody really knows what the secret sauce is.
But I think it adds a little. It's a little seasoning to the sauce, because when you're marketing, you can do that hashtag project we love, and people click just on that link, and it's like, oh, okay. It everything helps. It's all part of the recipe.
Yeah. See, if I was smart, I would have been using that hashtag.
I've been using it for you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I really do. I'm terrible. I'm so bad with these, because I started using it for a little while, and then I would just forget. I was like, the whole hashtag thing has always just eluded me. I'm like, oh, I was supposed to put that in. Damn it.
Always tag yourself and always use a couple of hashtags.
Yeah, I'm pretty good at writing a good line for it. The greatest mouse adventure going today, or some other quippy thing. I'm good at that part. But then, you ask me to put in the hashtag. I'm like, what?
Yeah. And we've got Draw and Talk in here as well. Welcome to the show.
Hey,
Richness and Mike Jimmy, they're talking smack to each other, I guess.
Love
talking
it.
dirty to each other. What are you doing in my chat room? Keep it clean in there, you.
Uh,
But 9 minutes to go. 9 minutes to go on this. I mean, it's been, like I said, it's been fun to watch this, and you and Daphne both hustling. I mean, working on your campaigns, working on the next thing, working on the stories and stuff. I don't know. I really don't know how you manage your day. I'm a busy person, so I have my own system. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And then it's just like, oh, what's just the task at hand and stuff. But I mean, for you to have this whole body of work that you're still developing, the Oswald Chronicles will continue on. I mean, how far into the future do you see this thing going?
Well, I made myself the promise to be done with writing the Oswald Chronicles by the time I'm 55. Right, that's the promise I made to myself. And then as far as finishing the whole thing, that's kind of open. So I don't really know, because it just depends on how much artists, how many artists I hire, the financing behind that, and all that jazz. Like right now, I'm working with 2 artists. I'm working with Jay Gonzalez, and I'm working with Aurelio Tillis. I think everything's working out with Aurelio. I think hopefully he'll hang around for a while. But if I could hire a 3rd artist, I will. And that's the thing. And, the other thing is like, I had a choice with Aurelio. I was like, do I want to color a portion of the story, or do I want more content? I chose more content, because at least this way it's done. I get a little bit further along. I can push the coloring to the side. I know some people consider it very important to color the work. And it is. But I think I feel the content is more important at this point, at this juncture.
So, well, and I have to say that I've seen work where the pencils sometimes look better than the ink. The ink looks better. The ink alone looks better than the colored pages and things like that. Right. So like finding that balance where it all works together, especially if the inker isn't doing the coloring and stuff. That to me is important, because again, that visual storytelling, and you don't want to lose the details or anything in your work. JD, I did want to ask you, because the Oswald Chronicles isn't the only thing in your portfolio. I mean, you have a whole body of work before that, and other IPs and stuff. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Well, I mean, okay. I'll pull this out just for laughs.
Let's get you up there.
Yeah. So this is Dreamweavers in Extreme Homage, and if you look at that cover price, $295. $295. This was the artist I was talking about, Matt Lunsford. Dreamweavers was a title we created together, right? And we decided this came out in '94 probably, and this is just a goof comic. This is just a parody on the Image comics. So there was Extreme Studios, and there was Homage Comics. So it was Jim Lee and Rob Liefeld. So we were there, and we were angry. We were very angry young men. So we were goofing on just about everything they were doing.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so these are various characters from a Jim Lee comic. This Death Sugar. I made up all new names for them. And then we have stuff like this where Matt is aping, the style of the comic. And one day I want to get this colored and I want to re-release it. Because this book, we only printed 500 of them. And I think in the wild, we probably only have 300, and I think I lost a couple of hundred in the flood.
Oh, no.
So there's not many of these. And this
look at that splash page. Oh, my God.
Yeah. And if you look real close, where is it? Oh, there she is. This way. If you look really close there, you can see Daphne. You see her? Do you see her right there?
No. I do.
She's kicking the big guy with the rock. Damn it! I can't get this thing because I can't see it with me holding it.
Oh
You
my
see?
gosh.
You see, there's
Yes.
Ravenwood,
Yes.
and just above Ravenwood, you see it says psychotic cartoonist.
Yes.
That's Daffy.
Oh my God.
So yeah, so it was we were just having fun,
Mm-hmm.
just doing this goofy stuff. And then there's a section that was the Ghibli section. He's aping, and then here's Rob Liefeld. So I don't know if you're familiar with Rob Liefeld, but anyone who is would recognize this.
Mm-hmm.
So, so
Oh my gosh.
this is a very famous scene taken from one of, I think, Youngblood. No, it was a Marvel comic that he did, and he ripped off Frank Miller, Ronin, and he drew this in his book, and we ripped him off
Oh wow.
because it was just ridiculous. It's just
Keep the cycle going.
exactly, but it's one of those things. But that was one of the things I did. Dreamweavers. We have Tall Tales. I did something called Reaver back in the day. We did there's Reaver Security Agenda. Revelation Saga. We were supposed to do something called Biohazard X. We were supposed to do another title called Starpoint. We were supposed to do a book called Power Core. We were supposed to do a book called American Justice.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of stuff, and I'm hoping to get my main focus has been Oswald the last few years. So I want to get that done with, and then I want to try to move over to some of these other creations that I've done over the years and get back to them and flesh them out a little bit. Especially Dreamweavers. It was one of the more fun projects. It's about 4 kids who are gifted by Morpheus. So this is a reoccurring theme for me. So the Dream God gifts these 4 kids with their dreams come to life. So basically, they come into these 4 characters, right? And they're like these 4 animal characters. You have Mouse, you have Snowflake, and you have Armadillo, and you have Acrobat, right? And it's their role-playing game characters, right? And they dream. So whenever they go to sleep, they wake up as their role-playing game characters in reality. Okay. Now the thing is they don't they think initially that is it just sprouted from their imagination. What they don't really know is that these 4 characters are 4 characters from another dimension that get sucked in, and they're like the closest representation to their dreams. So the concept is that throughout all of the multiverses, right? Mm-hmm. There's whatever you dream of exists somewhere, right, in the multiverse. So, and then these characters come through, and they're like kind of upset that they're being sucked out of their dimensions into their world. But that's another story.
Yeah, I think I would be too. Just saying. Oh, we got the seconds countdown going on.
Look at this.
We're into
nice.
seconds now. Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, we are closing out. We were just passing through from the Oswald Chronicles, and so Dreamweaverpress.com is your website. You got a store there?
I don't think on that one, but it's mostly just a portal to Tall Tales Online and the Oswald Chronicles. And on those we have stores.
Okay, because I know something like on one of the sites, I believe Daphne has kind of like I don't want to say a flash sale or something like that, but you guys are making room for like more inventory and stuff on your stores.
Egoworks.com.
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 But
wow, we're under a minute.
Yeah.
Yep. In the red. Oh my gosh, you're trying to give us a panic attack.
I know I don't like the countdown. I really don't like countdowns. I mean, I do, but I don't. What can they find at your stores? I mean, is it t-shirts? Is it books? Is it stickers?
Yeah. Well, I think at the moment they're kind of dry. They're mostly just books. Mm-hmm. But I think Daphne's been loading up the stickers and the buttons. Mm-hmm. And as far as t-shirts, there's a link there that takes you to another site where I think it's Redbubble.
I should have worn my shirt.
That's okay. I didn't wear mine either. But I'm looking to have some t-shirts actually like silkscreen manufactured that I'm going to have hopefully on the next Oswald campaign. We'll see.
Right.
So,
and
look at
there
that.
You go. Look at that. Fireworks.
Nice.
Yay. Confetti. congratulations on a successful campaign. 96
Thank
backers,
you.
4281.
Wow.
Project we love.
Incredible.
So, kind of going back to your story, do you have back issues of all of your books, most of your books, and not just the Oswald Chronicles, but some of the other projects that you were talking about?
Let's see. For the Oswald I don't think so, not yet. I think we've just been reserving them so far for the campaigns.
Mhm.
I
There's
have
no
an
elected issue
active.
with Tall Tales.
What happened?
Oh, sorry. Go
Oh.
ahead.
No, I have an active Indiegogo for the Oswald Chronicles, where there you can pick up, you can pick up all the back issues on that one.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's pretty much it for now. But we're gonna be making them available. Also, pretty soon. It's like soon. I think the next campaign will probably be finally a trade. So
Hmm.
we're gonna finally start on that, and we're gonna put out the first. Thank you, to everyone. But yeah, we're gonna do a trade, and once we do that, we're gonna probably be cycling out the individual comics. So once that's done.
Yep, Marvi says
Mhm.
awesome. Mike
Thank you,
Jimmy's
thank
like
you.
woo, and Doris is tuning in.
Yep.
She says congrats, JD.
Thank you, Doris. I
Yeah.
appreciate it. I
So
mean, yeah,
yeah, now is this campaign going to go to Indiegogo also after like
eventually.
eventually?
Yeah, eventually.
I
Because
know.
yeah, I got him staggered out like really like on Indiegogo. I'm still doing Clive,
Hmm.
so I still have 5 issues of Clive to get through on that, and then this one would come up. So we'll see. I'm gonna try to get him a little bit closer. I might do what I did with this one, whereas I combine this one with another campaign.
Hmm.
Thank you, Glenn.
Yeah.
So I might bring it a little bit closer. I don't know. We'll see. I'll see about maybe doing the last 5 issues of Clive in one campaign. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, it's always fun to know what's coming next.
Yeah. Well, the next thing for Oswald, like I said, will probably be a trade. But as far as original stories, it'll be a story with Dauphin, and Dauphin is he's a gnome who likes to fight evil, and he's a little crazy, and he's a bit of a vagabond. But he becomes very good friends with Oswald, and
Hmm.
he carries around this giant stone sword that's very heavy, and he's probably the only one that could swing it around because it's just that heavy. But he's tiny. He's I think a little bit shorter than Oswald, and he'll kick your butt. You know, so he
Nice.
likes to fight evil. But yeah, he's actually a pretty cool guy. He's one of the few characters that I've done spin-off stories with from the Oswald Chronicles. I wrote a whole novel with him in it, which I don't have anywhere near me. I wish I did.
Yeah, somewhere.
It's somewhere. Yeah, I wrote a novel, which hopefully I'll be adapting soon into comic form, and
Mhm.
I'll get that illustrated. I have an artist, or at least I hope I have an artist. So I got to test. I'm still testing. Like I had him draw the character, and he looked good. And I got to have him draw like a short story, and then after that, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Yeah.
Was it something that you've always wanted to do, like start with prose and then eventually uh, convert it into the script and then getting it
Was no.
put into comic book form?
No, not really. See, this is the way it works, right? I started off with comics as a kid, right?
Sure.
Then I worked my way. I was, very early on, and then probably around 11, 12, I started reading prose, maybe 10. And you just at that age, you're reading. I was reading 1, 2 books a week.
Mhm.
Maybe 3 if I could get it. If depending on the length of the book. Um, and it worked like that with comics. I started off in comics, and then I worked my way into prose, right? So I started writing prose, and then with the Oswald Chronicle, what happened was I was just working with Daphne on Tall Tales, and then I was writing prose on the side. So we're doing Tall Tales now. Those scripts are already done, and when I write those scripts, when I give her scripts, I tend to give her 4 or 5 at a time. So it's like, okay, these are all, and then she's busy for a year or two on those, right? So, I have a lot of free time, so I started writing prose, and then you know, I mean, I've told you guys this story. I had some money fall into my lap, and I was just like, immediately my mind went, let's do a comic book, right? So it was just, and I did it, and I was just like, yeah. But the intention, I never had intended to go from prose to comics, but the feeling was always, I want to do this as a comic.
Right.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool, because there are a couple of stories that I have that I always imagined as comic books, but at that point when I was writing them, comic books wasn't really in my realm. Nobody in my family was really into it. My kids weren't really into it. They're like, nah, it's not my thing.
Yeah.
And when I was a kid, we just couldn't afford it, so all I had was like the Sunday funnies. And so that was that, and you get a little older, and I had the collections of the different strips, like Heathcliff and Garfield, and all of those little collections and stuff like that. But I mean, so it's kind of cool to see the prose kind of turned into a script. Have you ever released that, like what it looks like, the writing process, as far as, I don't know, stretch goals, the mind of JD or anything like that?
No, I've never actually done that. What's funny is I was contemplating on doing a live stream where I would, or maybe I would just record it, where I would literally write on screen. Like I would have my little notebook, and I'd be writing and explaining what I'm doing as I'm writing.
Right.
The thought process, because you have, when you're writing, you have the line, and then you have the subtext to the line, right? So you have what you say, and then what do you really mean, right? So it's going through that process. I was thinking of doing that, but I was like, God, that's gonna be such a pain in the ass.
Yeah, it kind of is.
I was like, it's such a pain in the butt, but it's one of those things. Maybe I'll do it one day, maybe I won't. I don't know. We'll see. I may have to just prep really hard for that one, because when, I don't know how it works for you, but you get into the groove, you just want to just keep writing and writing and writing and writing and writing. So yeah, I mean, my thought was also to write and talk at the same time, like speak the words as I'm hearing in my head and I'm jotting them down, because I know of there's one writer, I forgot his name, but he writes prose, and he's very prolific. And what he does is he walks through the woods, and he has his recorder, and he's just walking through the woods, recording his next novel. He's just talking.
Yeah.
And then he comes home. I guess he plugs it into a translator, and it turns it into text, and then he edits. He probably loses his mind editing.
Everybody has their own way of doing it. I mean, when I kind of started my own journey about a little over a year ago now, I asked everybody, I'm like, well, how do you put together a script? There's got to be a standard way of putting together a script. No, there isn't. There really isn't. You ask anybody, and you take a look at, and I've been fortunate enough to see a couple of scripts, and everybody does it differently. They're like, well, it matters, it depends on how you talk to your artist, and like how much detail do you want to give them. Right. And I've seen some that were like very detailed, like this panel has this, and this panel, it's like, okay. And then you have some where it's just the words, is like, have fun. And you don't know what you don't know necessarily what you're going to get. Like you were saying, sometimes, you just give it, they give it back to you, and you're like, oh, all right. And it surprises you.
Yeah, you have to find, I guess, the happy medium with every artist, because some artists, like with Jade, I just give her, there are no breakdowns. I don't say panel 1, scene 1, any of that jazz. I says, this is the scene, this is the dialogue, this is the emotional content of the conversation. So is he angry? Is he mad? Is he smiling? Is he laughing? Is he doing all this stuff? And then she'll translate that, right? There's some artists, they want it broken down. Page 1, panel 1, panel 2, panel 3. It depends on the artist. Everybody's a little different. So sometimes you just have to key into that, like, what does the artist want? It's all right, so how do you like the script? For me, if I can hand in a looser script, it's obviously easier on me, right? Because then, I don't have to break it down. But if they need to break it down, I can break it down. Because when I worked doing Tenchi Muyu, that's one of the things you asked me for earlier. That's another part of my catalog. When I wrote that, I broke those down not for the artist, but for the editors. Because the artist I was working with was Matt Lunsford, the guy who did those pages that I showed you. He didn't need any of that stuff from me. He was just like, no, but it was for the editor. It wasn't for him.
Oh, wow.
And then, and invariably I would write I was contracted to write a 24-page comic, right? I would give it to him and he would hand in a 32-page book, which was awesome for me because then I would be like, oh, you owe me for an extra 8 pages. Thanks. So I would send him another invoice. and they would pay it too. It was great.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, some people would be like, I didn't say you could have 8 more pages.
Yeah. Well, see, that was the good thing is that we were working with very inexperienced editors. So they didn't know any better. like they and the thing was they were enjoying the story as much as we were. So that helped a lot. Because the people who, when I did Tenchi Muyu, I was working with Hiroi Tsukamoto, and she was the actual producer on the TV show, on the actual anime for Tenchi Muyu. So if she didn't like it, trust me, it would have never happened. That's the whole thing. So if she didn't like it, it would have never happened. But obviously she enjoyed it because she let it all go through. So.
Yeah, one of the things that Nita and I did was take one of my short stories and say, let's just hammer through this, right? So we took a little bit of the prose and we were like, okay. And she's like, you're going to hate me for this. And I'm like, what are we doing? She's like, we're going to get rid of some of your words. Which as a writer is difficult, right? I mean, it's like you take the time to put them in there and now you're taking them out, but you want to make way for the art. And so we were able to just like basically take it and chop it into, I guess, pages. Is that what we did, Nita? Kind of pages. And then from there, it wasn't so much like breaking it down into panels, but like, okay, this is kind of like what we see. And then this is kind of like what we envision. Oh, I see a splash page here. And then talking to the artist about it and going, what do you think? And he's like, he's like, you need a couple more pages. And I was like, dude, I have a budget,
They always want a couple more pages.
Right. But all because it helps, even, like you were saying earlier, it helps flesh out that story just that little bit more where you might not necessarily need it, but it's like, oh, it's so much better with it, you know? Mm-hmm.
No, sometimes you gotta make that sacrifice.
Yeah.
And another artist we're working with right now on a collaboration, he just wants like a kind of a prose sent in. So that's pretty freaking cool.
Yeah. I mean, so it's really like everybody that you're working with, it's like, I think that communication is so important, develop that relationship so that you can communicate effectively with each other. And hopefully you are pleasantly surprised with what you get back.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, well, that's why, it's funny. Working with Jade, in the beginning, I would get layouts for the pages. Now I don't get any layouts. She just sends me the finished page, which is fine. Because, like I said, we got like 1,200 pages behind us. We're good, With the other guy, Renyo, he sends me the layouts, and that's important. I have to see the layouts. But so far they're working. Like I said, I mean, he decompressed this story, but it was just I don't know. I think he really wanted to do those trolls and those ogres bashing each other over the head, and he just wanted to do a lot of troll bashing. So I was like, all right, fine, do whatever you want. So I just let him go. Just have fun. And I think that's what he's having. And I mean, for me, I think it shows on the page that he's having a good time. And, that's what I want. I want him to have fun. And the pages will reflect that. So, but sometimes you just got to cut the artist loose. But sometimes you do have to be mindful because, even for me, this was stretching it. I was like, okay, this is a bit of a pull, but all right, we'll see what happens. You know, I don't know how I'm gonna react to it come the next story. The next story, I might be like, okay, let's rein it in a little bit. Let's rein it in. Let's chop that down by 10, 15 pages or whatever.
Yeah. Have you ever been like so enthralled with the artwork that you totally forgot? Yeah, you needed to put lettering on it.
No.
I did that. I think it was I think it was pretty much my first bit of art that I ever paid for, and so I was getting the art back, and I loved the art. I was like, oh my gosh, it exceeded my expectations, right? And then it was time to letter it, and I was just like, oh shit, like some of these panels don't. Like some of these words don't fit as well, so I had to do some creative editing in that. So kind of fell in love with that, but yeah, it was that was kind of funny, a learning curve that when I'm getting art back, maybe I should read my script.
Yeah, it's funny. Early on with Jade, she had done a page where I remember when I lettered that page, it was crammed so tight with lettering. I was like, what the hell? This looks crazy. So I came up with the brilliant idea of saying, listen, Jade, I want you to redraw this page. It's 2 pages. So we split it, made a few more panels, and that loosened it up. And it worked. It worked great. And if you can find those 2 pages, I'll give you $1. Like if you could find those 2 pages that was originally 1 page, I'll give you $1.
Oh boy. See, Nita just unmuted. She's like, I'll take that challenge, JD. I got you.
Go for it. Go for it.
Yeah. No, go ahead.
Oh no. I mean, it's just I think I did a good job of masking it. So. So, yeah.
Well, if you didn't, you wouldn't be doing your job.
This is true. It's true.
There is that.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. Sometimes you have to get creative. With that same story, I had someone critique it on a podcast one time, and they said there was an info dump in the beginning of the story, and I was like, "What? I don't do info dumps." Sons of bitches! They don't know what they're talking about. I went back and read it. I said, "Holy shit! There's an info dump." So I went in there and I ripped out 4 pages of the story.
Wow.
I ripped out 4 pages and I had to combine 2 other pages together. Again, if you could find that page, I'll give you $1. Because that was interesting because I literally like separated and went into Photoshop and started marrying stuff together, and I was like, all right, how can I make this work?
Right.
So
and that's kind of like what we were talking about earlier. It's just like that information info dump, if you will. At the end of a story, just because it's like, okay, they had to bring it to an end, and like
conclusion. Yeah.
Oh, I just it's so frustrating to see that because you didn't get it wasn't like this. Like a gradual, like you got me through the story this way, and then all of a sudden it feels like you just chopped off my head, Yeah,
but I mean, you have to, like I said, like I was telling earlier, denouement. If you can't, you have to be able to explain, where this characters went, especially if you're not going to do like a second novel, or a second story or whatever. It's good to let everybody know that these people walked off happily or unhappily or whatever. They fell off a cliff. Just let everybody know.
So now we are we are over an hour. Campaign has come to a conclusion here.
Thank you.
When can people start expecting books? Because I know it takes sometimes it takes a couple weeks for Kickstarter to release the funds, right?
Right. Well, I have 1 or 2 small things to do on the book. It's literally blurbs. I have to write 2 blurbs. It's funny. Those are the things I hate writing. It's like what happened in the issue before. I put it on the inside front covers. But yeah, I have to write them for 3 and 4, and then once that's it, those books are done. And then they go off to the printer. Hopefully I'll have them back in 2 weeks. And that's the thing. We don't like I'll have the blurbs done probably tonight, and then we'll ship it off to the printer probably. I don't know. Today's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. They'll be off to the printer, and if I'm lucky, I'll have them back in a week or two. And then once the funds are released from Kickstarter, we'll start shipping them. And that's
Nice.
because just to let everybody know, even though we didn't make the 4,500, I'm still gonna do the 9-card set, and I'm gonna send that off to everybody. So.
Oh, yay!
I think
Got to see what that image is on the back.
I know,
That's
right?
what we were like pushing for. It's like, come on, what is it?
Mhm.
Uh-huh.
But I don't know. I mean, but that's pretty much it. That's my process, and then we'll ship it off as quickly as we can. I'll pack it up in like a couple of days and get everything out the door. The only thing that takes a little bit longer is the sketch covers. But even then, Daphne's, she's always on the ball, so that'll take another week or two, and then we'll get those out.
Yeah.
She has an increasingly busy schedule.
Yeah.
Yes, she does.
Well, one of the things that I can really appreciate about the campaigns that you and Daphne run is the fact that a lot of times we already see the proofs in your hand when you're launching your campaign, so people know that you are fulfilling those books. They don't have to wait months and months for you to finish up as far as writing or editing, lettering, coloring. It's basically done. And that is something that I am learning by example. It's like, that's how I want to go. And so for me, I think it's an upfront investment is kind of like what you've been doing. You have the book ready and you're like, okay, let's do this. Whatever we make. And, you were saying you roll it in. I think a lot of people, I don't know that they think of it as an investment, because I don't think if you've been doing it for as long as you have, it's definitely not a money grab. If in fact you probably spent a lot more than you've ever made on a Kickstarter. Can you just like kind of quickly before we close out, talk a little bit about that? The what I like to say, the shitter get off the pot moment. It's like if you're going to do this and you want to continue making comic books, you have to think of it kind of as an investment of your time and your resources.
Yeah. So there's a few different ways to go about it. Like, so see, if you're flush with cash, it's going to be very easy. I would just tell you, if you're flush with cash, write your story, edit your story, work, if you can get into a writer's group, work with a writer's group, get yourself in a position where you can write a story. Work with an editor if you got one available to you. A lot of people say they like to use their English teachers. I would say try to get another writer. English teachers are fantastic. They're wonderful people. They will help you cross your I's and dot your T's. Not necessarily the greatest people to help you with writing. Okay? Because I've read some stuff from people who says, "Oh yeah, my English teacher." I was like, "Really? Nice." Well, your grammar
did you
is good.
see the smile? Did you see the smile with too much teeth? All right, we're like the old school like that. It's like, no.
Your grammar's nice. Right? There's that issue. But then, if you're not flush with cash, what I would advise, there's two ways to go about it. Save your money, get a decent amount of together, and hire an artist, right? And then go through the process of design, because that's important. Design work is important, and then the actual pages, right? The other thing you can do is you can just focus on your prose. I mean, sometimes you can't do a comic. I've always said, and I will stick to this, is if I do not have the right artist to work on the Oswald Chronicles, I will go back to prose. Because it's that important to me that I have a good artist. Because sometimes you'll be like, oh man, I want to get this out, and then you just settle. Don't settle. Find a good artist. And it's not going to be easy. You're gonna try. Some of them are gonna flake on you. You're gonna flake on some of them. Sometimes you have the funding. Sometimes you have a certain price in your head. And the artist would be like, well, the price in your head is nice, but that's your head. My head has a different price, and it's double your price, right? So you got to try to find that happy medium, where you guys can meet in that middle somewhere. And the thing is sometimes it's not a good thing. Like, I've had artists. I had one particular artist, this guy, right? He gave me a price for the pieces, for the covers, and I was like, okay, that's the price, no problem, and I paid him. And I got these pieces, and they were fantastic. I've seen him do work for other people, right? And he has a page, like he's doing interiors. He has a per page price, and I've seen that price, and I'm like, it's too high for me to hire on a per page, to do interiors, but I could afford a cover, right? So I got the covers, but I could tell from the work that he's done for other people that they're not paying him his full rate, because it doesn't look as good as his samples. So what he's doing is he's giving them as much as he can within the time slot that's allotted, right? So sometimes you can, like, I've said in the past that if an artist tells you, let's just for argument's sake, $100 per page, right? They're gonna probably be expecting you to talk them down to 75, right? That's what they're probably, or maybe even 60, right? Because that's just the thing. We're in tune to negotiate. But I have found that if you pay them their rate, they'll give you that and then some. So yeah, so that's the trade-off. So sometimes it's good to just work with an artist with what if you can, But sometimes it's difficult. You might have to save for a long time. The other route you can go with is find a partner who's an artist, right? Find someone who's just as hungry as you are. You want to break into the business together, develop an IP together. The understanding is that you're partners, right? Nobody's getting paid on the upfront. You're getting paid on the back end, right? And maybe on the back end, because the artist is going to spend a lot more time than you are as a writer on a story. So maybe on the back end, let's say you do a Kickstarter. Let's say, for argument's sake, you have $1,000 profit. Maybe it's 70-30. So you'll take 30% as a writer because you're going to be spending less time, and you give the artist a little bit more, because they are going to be spending, a bulk more time, and maybe you'll be doing more promotion than they will, to make up for that difference because you're the writer. You're going to have a little bit more time. I've encountered dudes or gals who'll be like, no, it's 50-50. My work is just as important as theirs. We're not talking about work. We're talking about time, and yeah, your work is as important as theirs. But, what I can do in a week is going to take this person a month, and my week was a loose week. I mean, I wrote 4 hours a day, maybe 3 hours a day. They're going to be working 8 hours a day, every day on this damn thing to get it done. Right. So, that's the thing. So you might have to loosen up. Like, it could be that, you cut a deal, you are 50-50 partners. You do that 70-30, could be even 80-20. But if you ever sign a deal doing something or whatever, or maybe like if you do T-shirts or if you do prints or whatever, maybe that'll be 50-50. Right. Or maybe if the artist has a page rate that they normally charge. So let's say they charge $100 a page. You got a 22-page comics, $2,200. When you reach that $2,200 for that artist with that 80-20 split, then it'll become 50-50. So that artist is paid. So that they got paid for whatever they got. And then there's a whole bunch of different ways to work it out, but work it out, negotiate with your artist, and make them your partner. So then that way, you're both invested in that. So
yeah, bootstrapping comics.
Yeah,
in a way, but at the same time, it's an investment in time. It's an investment in money. A lot of people like with mine, I've got 8 pages, right, and it's like at this point in time, I can't afford to buy more pages of art. So in the meantime, I'm hustling, I'm doing other things. It's like, okay, what can I do that's within my wheelhouse that I can earn so that I can pay for more art? Everything right now. Like, how did that happen, JD? Like, everything is all about like finding the art now.
That's how it works.
I don't know how that happened. I got the bug. The bug.
That's what it is. And going back to an original question is, how do I get from prose to comics? Is because once you do comics, right, you can leave tomorrow, and I guarantee you a year from now, you're like, damn it, I want to do another comic.
I'm feeling that.
Yeah,
but I don't know about you, but so I went from prose to comics, and now I'm trying to go back to prose, and I'm like, where are my words?
Um,
It's like so many words now.
right. It depends because the Star Tremor stories, the chapbooks that I've been doing, that what I did, the stories already written. When I decided to write them, I just said to myself, I'm going to write these in prose, and that was it. So you got for me, it's always a mental prep. You know, it's like I have to know this is going to be prose, this is going to be comics, this is going to be prose.
Right.
You know, but eventually those prose may end up as a comic. So,
Mhm.
so yeah, but that's how I work it. I mean, yeah, but you know, it can work so many different ways. But sometimes, I don't know. I've written comic books. Like I started writing a comic, and it just ends up prose afterwards. Like I could be in the middle of it, and I just start writing prose. You know, because I just like have this stream of consciousness thing going, and just like you know, you just gotta let it go wherever it goes, and then it's just all up to the editing after that.
Yeah. And then deciding whether or not you're going to go one way or another, or just go, yeah, screw it, do both.
Right. Exactly. You can do both. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, we've had you for 90 minutes. And again, I want to thank everybody who is tuning in right now. Wherever you're tuning in from, make sure that you hit the subscribe button. We're simulcasting to Indie Volt, Comics and More New Jersey, Rage and AVC, as well as Geek Insider. And then in the descriptions, again, you guys, Kickstarter is over, but JD's links are there. You can get him on Twitter, on Facebook, dreamweaverpress.com is his website. And JD,
Yes.
final words for you.
Thank you to both you, Meredith and Nita. You guys are fantastic. I don't, you know, it's weird. It's because again, it's not quantifiable because you know, you guys were an immense help, right? But how much? I don't know. 90%, 10%. 50%, 60%, who knows? But it doesn't matter. You guys are awesome, regardless. So thank you to all the fans. I mean, I appreciate you guys. I mean, I showed you some of the artwork, you know, and it's just about creating comics. You know, I just want to continue, you know, on this journey. Just continue creating. I want to get to the end of the story. I have every intention of getting to the end of the story. So I just, you know, want to thank everybody for helping me along. Everybody's everyone who backed for the physical is gonna get those 9 cards and a bunch of stuff. So,
Yes. Happy about that.
So that should be cool. And then hopefully I'll package it up in a way where I think everybody will like it. So
very cool.
Yeah, because
I'm really excited about that.
Yeah. Thank you.
Always planning, always getting ready for the next thing, always writing and stuff like that. Keep creating, you guys. And we're going to put up the card here. We appreciate everybody who's tuning in. Thank you so much for being on this journey of the Oswald Chronicles. We were just passing through 1 through 4 and some alt covers. Kickstarter is over right now, but you may see it pop up again. We don't know. We'll keep you informed. And on that note, hey, Nita.
Yo.
Final words.
Throw my dudes.
We're out of here, you guys. Have a great day. Stay productive, stay safe, and be kind. Hit the share button. Bye.